Hey there guys, it's me Malorian, and it's time for another War Machine Battle Report with Malorian versus Malorian, because that's the world we live in. And today, the matchup I wanted to do was Constance versus Damiano. Now, I wanted to do this matchup for two reasons. One, it's kind of like the battle of the elite versus the battle of the spam or of the plane, whatever you want to be calling that. These are also two casters that I haven't played very much with myself. You know, I have played a handful of Constance games, mainly in Mark II when I was goofing around. But ever since this, actual good theme for her and all these Morrowan models came out, I haven't played any Constance yet. So I kind of want to see what that looks like on the board and try and get more practice with it. And then meanwhile, with Damiano, I just have never been a Damiano fan. I know a lot of other people swear by him, and so it's probably worth a fair shake, but, I had just never done that myself, so I want to kind of see where this goes. Alright, so as always, the lists are in the comments, but looking here, when it came to the roll-off of who's going first, we are going to be going with Constance winning the roll-off, and she wanted to go first because this is going to be a scrum. This is going to be something where she wants to get up there, especially because even though it's going to be a scrum, the other side actually has some guns, so that's something to keep in mind. So really from left to right, what we're looking at is I got my one unit of Legion of Lost Souls there on the far left. I got a Morrowan Archon. I got my first unit of Precursor Knights and Throne in the back. Then I actually have my good old Jacks there, and in this one here I'm going to be running Gallant and a Nomad. I got Constance and Hermit. I then got my second unit of Precursor Knights with the 3 Battle Priests, and then a Morrowan Archon on the far right. And then because I don't own any Vigilants, and I thought they'd be, I had 6 points left over, why not? I threw in a mini unit there, and I'll be using those, what are they called, the Cutthroats, to be actually showing them. Now, one of the things I want to be addressing right away is the fact that my Precursor Knights don't have UAs. Now, that's not intended. That's something where I made the list, I posted the matchup, and like the next day I'm like, oh, damn, I didn't put in UAs in there. So really, normally they probably should, and I'd have to drop something else, but in this matchup, there's not really anything super hard I have to crack, so I feel okay. It's not like I was running this against a Jack list and I'm, super shooting myself in the foot. This is going to be okay. Now, a big matchup I want to really talk about here is the whole thing about the Legion of Lost Souls. Now, they don't really work with Constance's feat because she only gives +1 armor to living warrior models, so they aren't going to work over there, but they're a really key unit to have in this matchup, especially because they just gobble up living units like that and just keep on bringing themselves back. You can have that whole vengeance waterfall, or they just completely make their entire unit again. So yeah, very, very interesting in here. Definitely on the other side, they want to be trying to kill them off. So really what I'm planning to do on this here is using an Archon and my Vigilance on the right just to kind of lock down that zone, and then everything else is going to be battling on this far left side. And again, because of how they don't really work really well with my feet and stuff like that, that's why the Legion of Lost Souls are on the far outside. Plus, they want to be shot by as few things as possible. Alright, jumping over here to Damiano from left to right. I got halberdiers, I got the guns behind there, the riflemen. Then I have Alexia. I have in there the, now I can't remember the name of that solo. There is the Nicholas, that's it, Nicholas something something that actually brings back the steelheads. That should be good. And I got Stannis, I got Toro, Damiano, an Arcanist, and a Rocinante here. And then on the far right, I have another unit of halberdiers and another unit of those good old riflemen. Now, the riflemen are a lot better than they used to be. It used to be in Mark II, if you had riflemen, toss them in the trash because they're not worth having extra weight on your shelf. But ever since they changed them, they are very, very interesting. For those who don't know, they have combined ranged. Whenever they're doing combined range, they can re-roll the hit. And the new thing that they got with their last update is that they can actually combine range into combat. So they're the perfect thing to be standing behind the halberdiers and just shooting things down. And in this theme where solos give mark target, you have Damiano with Deadeye, you have Damiano with his little coins he can give out with +2 to hit and +2 damage. They can do work. So make no mistake, if I make a mistake on the Constance side, they will just delete 2 full units by themselves. So that's really important. And even if they don't do it all in one turn, they can slowly do this over time. Of course, the other big gun will be Rocinante, so that's something else to look out for. But really in this matchup here, oh, and I also got Iris up there in the front there a bit. Really in this matchup, I want to try and take advantage of the left side and try and see if I can wrestle that from the Morrowan Archon and the Vigilants. I don't want to be dedicating too much. At the same time, I think I want to keep my forces here more so lined up against the other side, Constance. And if I can, just try and slowly take it in, shoot things down. But the big thing is just realizing that I can win this in the long game. I can keep shooting things down. I can charge in and destroy it. But again, that big thing I have to watch out for is that Legion of Lost Souls, because one little mistake with Vengeance and they just eat me up and they're completely all back. So I'll have to be very, very careful with that. All right, so let's jump into it. First turn, they just want to run up there. So basically, Constance puts the Fortune up onto the Legion of Lost Souls on the left. This is because I'm knowing that to try and balance this out, I'm probably going to get Surefoot on the other side there. So to try and deal with that harder to hit stuff, why don't we just re-roll the hit? Otherwise, I don't need to really do anything else. So everything just kind of runs up. I did hold back a little bit because I don't want a little scatter of Rocinante's AoE 4 blast, which, I mean, it's a powerful shot. So even the blast damage is boosted. So that's, you got to watch out for that. But if that scatters up forward, I don't want to be decimated. So I put myself a little bit further back than I could have been, spaced out, just to make sure I don't just like, oh, one AoE and I've lost a whole unit of Precursor Knights. Jumping over to the other side with Damiano, more spells to be doing here. I'd be doing even more, except I just don't have the focus to do it. So pretty much like we talked about, Surefoot is going to be going off onto the Halberdiers on the far right. That's going to raise them up to being normally defense 15, defense 17 if they get charged. So that makes them very resilient. Again, especially with that whole waterfall vengeance, I have to make sure I have something guarding against that. Meanwhile, I have the spell on the middle halberdiers where it's going to be getting vengeance and +2 mat, so that's pretty nice. And whereas most things are staying outside of the charge range, the only thing I'm not doing that with is with the far left, where those halberdiers are just racing up there, staying out of the charge range of the Morrowan, but wanting to put the pressure onto those Vigilants, saying, get out of my zone. Otherwise, Alexia makes a Thrall, which will be just what I want for that flag, and then we'll pass it over. Now, one of the things I want to talk about before we pass it over, though, is just what does Constance do now? This is one of the things I kind of love about these solo games, is that, especially because I don't do this with Clock, I can really sit there and think of what is the actual best play, which is such a weird thing to think of when you're on both sides of the table. And really, I mean, one of the things I can do is I could just run up in feet, but if I run up in feet, I am probably just going to get shot down, hacked down, losing way too many models, and probably die. So that's a bad option. So what I probably want to do instead is just go up and shield wall, and then just try and like tempt something to happen, and if not, okay, then I can pump in next turn. I don't really feel that this is the right turn for that. There's nothing for me to charge. I just got to be more careful. So that's really what I do. All 3 units are going into shield wall. Because I out-threat thanks to Crusader's Call, I am able to edge up so that I am not being under threat to being charged, but I can actually charge out if I wish. And then on the far right there, I do take a couple of shots. The Vigilants try and shoot down, and they kill off 2 of the halberdiers, so why not? Chip away. Otherwise, yeah, just trying to lock things down and wait out a turn. Now, I know in doing this, I'm giving up the flag from the other side. They're obviously going to be contesting my flag, so Damiano is going to be getting the jump on scenario, but there is no way they're taking either of the sides away from me. Like, they're not going to score any of those zones. It's just not going to happen. And even though they have some guns, they're not going to destroy my objective because I got battle priests, and probably the last things they want to do right now is triggering vengeance so that I'll be in their face hacking everything down. Alright, so jumping over here to Damiano, going into this, the right thing to do and the very obvious thing to do is that when you have a bunch of units with vengeance that are staying back and saying shield wall, you jam. So that's what I really do for the most case, just trying to jam up as best I can to be as careful as I can. It's really tough when something has tactician because they can unlock this jamming, but really trying to be very careful and then making it so on the following turn I can really get in there. I don't even bother taking any shots, not even with Rocinante. I'm keeping Iris nice and back and safe from anything that might be coming to try and get it, like an angry Archon. And then the only place I did get some work done is, well, actually nowhere. I brought back one more halberdier from the left, from the two that died, and then basically they just ran up to engage those vigilants just to lock them down, and all the rest are there hoping to charge next turn. The other spell I put up for is Road to War, and that's a fantastic spell to have. So even though right now a lot of my things are out of the way, you know, now I'll be in a spot where later on I can Road to War one of my heavies and really send them in somewhere juicy. So Constance will have to be very careful and can't just stick her head out, or even those Archons, they can very easily die. Otherwise, I make a Nether Thrall that goes on the flag, so I'm doubled up on the flag here, and then otherwise I score 1 point, and now it's time to go to the other side. Alright, now jumping over here to Constance, basically how it is at the start of the turn is I'm jammed up, I don't have any vengeances, so I need to break out and do whatever I can. So the first thing I do is on the right side, just start chopping down halberdiers, using the Morrowan to try and stab away what I can from the things in front of the Precursors. Constance herself charging up there, doing feet and killing a few models, and what that allows me to do is then break through with some of my what do you call them, my Precursor Knights, so they can actually get in pretty good and deep. And wow, it worked out really well. You can see from the center, whereas I had really intended to make like a front line and a back line that wouldn't get gotten to, again, with all that, you know, tactician and the different things you can do to unlock this, even, you know, like Gabriel Throne shooting down a model and stuff like that. Yeah, they broke through, and that center unit that has vengeance is down to one model now, so ooh, scary. And then on the far left, wow, that went crazy. So here's something I want you to realize is that I think some people, if not most people, know now that Legion of Lost Souls, even though they have big axes and swords, also have guns. And those guns are not the best. They're, you know, Rat 5, range 8, not the biggest deal. However, when they have a Morrowan nearby, so that they're basically Rat 6, and then they also have Fortune, so they're rerolling the hit, they can do a lot of work. So whereas I had intended initially that they were going to be jammed and couldn't do very much, I basically just shield wall them again, move up a bit, hack down the few guys in my face, and then even though, remember there was Surefoot on the other side, even though I need 9s to hit, it's 9s re-rolled, and so between all of this, again, I kill everything except for one model from that unit, so that is devastating. So I know looking from this, it seems like, haha, that's it, this is in the bag, I had the feet up. However, I know from the other side that I'm going to be getting all those risen in, and there's just going to be risen everywhere next turn, and as well there'll be a lot of losses. So even though this looks like amazing town for right now for Constance, I'm bracing myself because I know this next turn is going to hurt. Now, as you can see here, this was huge. I brought back, first of all, the interesting thing here. The way it works is that both Nicholas and those vengeance attacks happen in the maintenance phase, and so I can choose the order of those. So basically, first Nicholas brings back 3 of those halberdiers, and then they get to make their vengeance attacks. So that was pretty nice, especially when they're getting +2 to hit. They kill a couple of models, and then I kind of realize, oh right, I have to be careful with this, because even though I didn't have a choice in my order of activations now, it also means that I have to be careful later, because every single time, remember that I kill a living warrior model, I'm putting a soul or whatever onto Constance, and all those living warrior models are getting stronger. Now, a big thing I need to have happen is I had to get that Toro onto the Archon on the far left so I can kill it, and so that meant I had to do some very careful clearing, but I was able to do that. Trigger Road to War, it comes over, and with feet and getting +3 strength, it's able to kill that Archon. The guys in the zone on the left were able to kill off all the Vigilants, so I'm going to be scoring that zone over there. That's fantastic. And then once that's done, it's just time to open up. So I start shooting into Precursor Knights, killing them off. I mean, unfortunately I had to trigger Vengeance on both units to clear my flag, so I can actually score it. And so I'm going to score my flag and the zone, so that's nice. But then I just had to do as much work as possible to kill off as much as I could. And as you can see here, lots of Precursor Knights are dead. I killed off a whole bunch of them. And on the right side too. Oh man. So, you know, with Damiano, I did the coin on both units, so they're getting the +2 to hit, +2 damage. I didn't need Deadeye on the right, so I put Deadeye just on the left unit. But yeah, I feel that the right side, that those Legion of Lost Souls are lucky not to be wiped out. I mean, really, with a lot of these units here, I had to move up a bit so that with the Road to War, I could get Rocinante into the zone, just to make sure I don't lose that zone if something crazy happened. But yeah, with my Rat 5 going to Rat 7, they're only defense 12 on the other side there, so pretty easy to hit, and some of these guys got the aim as well. You know, they're going up to PAL 13s, I can combine wherever I want, so basically, even when they're shield walling and armor 18, I just need 6s to kill. And so between their shooting and Iris shoots in there, and I have one charger left over, I bring down the Legion of Lost Souls down to 2 models. And I don't need to worry about the Vengeance because they're both engaged still, so they can basically kill that one guy, and that's okay. But yeah, I was actually wondering, I used Rocinante to shoot into the Precursor Knights and killing off 3 more of them on the left side, but now I'm wondering if I could have actually done this to the right and actually finished them all off. So otherwise, I'm feeling pretty good. One risk I am taking here that I can be honest about is that I am within charge range of Constance. In order for me to get my feet onto the Toro that was going on to the Archon, I needed to be within 12 inches, and so it was going to be pretty much impossible to do that and be outside the charge range of Constance. However, the way that everything's layered up, it's going to be difficult to unlock. Yes, there's going to be Vengeance, but I also have Alexia in the way, I have Stannis in the way, and I'm pretty sure that even though Constance might be able to get to me, that no other warrior model can get to me, and without flank, I don't think they can kill me. So, you know, it might happen, I don't think so, and it's just one of those things where for me to be as, you know, powerful and hitting as hard this turn as I need to be, I had to take this calculated risk. So the biggest thing that then kind of changed my mind on the other side is when I saw the stack that Constance got. She got, of course, you know, 1 for everyone that died there, and even though the Legion of Lost Souls, even though they don't get their armor up, even when they die, they also give 1. So a lot of them weren't in range, but still, look at that stack. And so with that much focus, sometimes you can just make things happen. So I looked at it for a long time, really tried to figure out if it was going to be worth it. You know, for this to actually happen, I need Gallant to charge through and kill off Stannis. I then need to be able to clear the other parts away so I can charge through. And when I really went through the math in my head, I was like, you know what? I think it's worth a shot. So we did all our Vengeance attacks, killed the models through that. Gallant goes in, and yeah, the first damage roll that I did, remember again, Stannis from the feat from Damiano is getting +3 armor, but luckily from how it went over, I was able to kill him off. The second bot attack was able to hit and kill, and so that was fantastic. Cleared a few more models than I needed to, and then what I did to avoid the free strike from Alexia is I used then Throne to be giving Pathfinder onto Constance. She could then slide more onto the left side. I have the Archon up there, so I'm getting +1 a hit, so that even now that I'm not having flank, I had to do Crusader's Call to actually get there, and so with the Archon there, that makes me effectively mat 8, so I need 7s to hit, so I now move and I recast Fortune onto myself, so it's re-rolled 7s, that's pretty good, and then I'm POW 13 only up against Damiano's armor, normally going to be 16, now because the feat goes up to 19, so it's dice off 6, but I just have so many focus on me. So after I did that mental math, and now that we got past this point where Gallant actually went through, yeah, I go in there and you can see that my stack is greatly reduced from what it was, but I was able to go and hack through and kill. Now, I think if I hadn't gone for that, let's say for example Gallant hadn't actually killed Stannis, what I'd do instead is just be shooting, you know, magic spells everywhere that I can. You know, I can't shoot at Alexia's unit, but all these riflemen I'm worried about, I can be shooting them up. I had the Nomad set up so that I could be going into the Toro, and even though the armor is higher, you know, I'm hopefully going to cripple some systems and do some real damage from there. So, you know, it was a really interesting match. I hope you guys appreciate that this wasn't really as one-sided as it might seem. You know, a lot of people when they're in their voting, they're like, yeah, Constance just wins. Constance just wins. But there is a lot here, and I think a lot of people aren't really giving the respect that they should to those steelhead riflemen. They could do so much work with Damiano, and I also wonder too if I could have played this any smarter. You know, a big part of this is that if more of those halberdiers could have survived and charged in, that just makes it so much better. And again, you know, like, the way that you jam, I was able to unlock, but is there a way I could have done it so it didn't? I don't know. So if you have any thoughts on that, please post it down below. But otherwise, that's our battle report done, and I guess we'll catch you later. Bye.